Directly beneath the causeway of Khafre's pyramid at Giza, there is a shaft that goes down 3 levels underground. At the bottom level, permanently flooded with groundwater, sits a large granite sarcophagus on a stone island surrounded by water. Access is now restricted. What was found there, and what wasn't, is our next chronicle. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're taking you on an incredibly atmospheric descent into one of the most dramatic, yet rarely seen archaeological sites in all of Egypt. We're going deep beneath the familiar sands of the Giza Plateau to uncover the verified facts behind a subterranean marvel. Honestly, this place feels like it was pulled straight out of an adventure novel. All right, Section 1, the 3 subterranean levels. To really grasp the sheer magnitude of this structure, we've got to start our descent. So here's the thing. The existence of this underground complex isn't actually a brand new revelation. The Greek historian Herodotus vaguely described an underground tomb surrounded by water way back in the 5th century BCE. Fast forward to the 1930s, and archaeologist Salim Hassan attempted a proper excavation. But, well, he was physically stopped. Why? Because the deeper he went, the more the shaft flooded with ice-cold groundwater. It actually wasn't until the summer of 1999 that modern industrial pumps finally allowed Dr. Zahi Hawass to fully drain it and uncover its deepest secrets.
Okay, let's dive into this. What's truly wild is just how hidden the entrance is. If you were walking on the Giza Plateau today, you'd almost certainly walk right past it. The entrance sits right in the floor of a shallow, completely unassuming tunnel running directly under the causeway that links Khafre's pyramid to the Great Sphinx. It is quite literally hidden beneath the footsteps of pharaohs.
Now, take a look at this vertical cross-section. It really reveals the massive scale of what lies beneath that tiny entrance. You are looking at a 100-foot plunge cut completely straight down into solid bedrock. The ancient engineers essentially carved out a multi-story building plunging directly into the earth. It's mind-boggling. Let's walk through this descent step by step, because it's a doozy. First, you drop just over 9.5 meters down what they call Shaft A into Level 1, which is actually just an empty rectangular chamber. Then you descend another 13 meters down Shaft B into Level 2. Now, this level is way more complex. It features 7 side chambers carved right into the rock. Inside some of these niches, archaeologists found massive basalt sarcophagi, skeletal remains, and hundreds of Shabti servant figurines dating to the 26th dynasty. But the absolute most dramatic drop is still to come, a final 7.5-meter plunge down Shaft C to the 3rd and deepest level. Which brings us to our next focus, the flooded sarcophagus chamber. This is where the whole vibe shifts from a traditional tomb to something entirely different. Down at the very bottom, the layout is just completely alien to standard Egyptian tombs. The floor features this deep trench that leaves a central platform of stone right in the middle. And get this, the trench was carved specifically to take the shape of the ancient Egyptian hieroglyph for house, pronounced per. Plus, this trench is permanently filled with groundwater, turning that central platform into an artificial underground island. Resting directly in the center of that island is a massive black basalt sarcophagus, roughly shaped like a human. When archaeologists finally reached it back in '99, it was completely submerged in water. And flanking this massive stone coffin are the remnants of 4 square pillars. Just take a second to picture this. You are standing exactly 100 feet beneath the scorching desert surface, yet you're in pitch blackness inside a room permanently flooded with ice-cold, crystal-clear groundwater, just staring at a giant black sarcophagus on an island. It is an incredibly dramatic, almost cinematic space. But why? Why go through the immense, back-breaking trouble of building this? To answer that, we move to our next section, the myth of Osiris. You see, to the ancient Egyptians, the Giza Plateau wasn't merely a cemetery for kings. In the New Kingdom, it was known as Rostau, which translates to the underground tunnels. And more importantly, Rostau was considered the physical, literal entrance to the underworld, a dark, mysterious realm ruled by the god of the dead, Osiris. So the crucial point here is that this deep subterranean room is heavily symbolic. The central island perfectly mimics the primeval mound of creation from Egyptian mythology. The water? It isn't a mistake or an engineering failure. It represents the dark, subterranean waters of the underworld itself. And those 4 pillars surrounding the sarcophagus? Well, textual evidence suggests they represent the 4 sacred legs of Osiris himself. Combined with the amulets and offerings found scattered around, experts overwhelmingly agree this wasn't a standard burial. It was a dummy tomb, a cenotaph, specifically designed to honor the lord of the underworld right in his own subterranean domain. All right, let's ascend back up to the modern surface to tackle our next topic, restricted access and conflicting accounts. Because let's be honest, wherever there's a mystery at Giza, rumors are absolutely sure to follow. Here's how this plays into modern controversy. On one hand, we have the verified archaeological consensus, led by Zahi Hawass. This view identifies the site as a symbolic tomb, built or heavily reused in the 26th dynasty to honor Osiris. On the other hand, you have alternative accounts. In fact, it was rumors of secret, undiscovered tunnel networks, supposedly branching off from this shaft to connect with the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid that originally prompted Hawass to launch his 1999 excavation in the first place. Now, to date, the official excavations haven't found any evidence of these hidden connecting tunnels. And if you're hoping to go down there yourself to look for them, I've got some bad news. The site remains strictly closed to the general public. Modern sewage and canal waters nearby have caused the local water table to rise. This constant moisture has severely weakened the porous limestone of the shaft, causing the rock to crumble and flake. So for the sake of safety, and to preserve this incredibly fragile piece of history, access is highly restricted, usually limited only to authorized researchers and specialized film crews. Moving on to our final section, 3 unanswered questions. Because despite the comprehensive excavations, the site refuses to give up all its secrets. Here's what continues to puzzle archaeologists today. First off, when was this shaft originally cut? While the artifacts and sarcophagi clearly date to the late period, some pottery fragments suggest activity way back in the 6th dynasty, and some researchers even argue the raw shaft predates the 4th dynasty pyramids entirely. Second, why are these massive, incredibly difficult to move granite and basalt sarcophagi completely devoid of inscriptions? Not a single hieroglyph on them. And finally, some recent academic research poses a really fascinating theory. Before Osiris became the dominant god of the underworld, that title actually belonged to an older god named Sokar. Could this shaft actually be the mythical Shatayet of Sokar, an even older shrine that was later inherited and repurposed by the followers of Osiris? The waters of the Giza Plateau have hidden the site for millennia, and even today, they guard its deepest origins. 100 feet below the desert, the dark island waits. What do you think the Osiris shaft was really built for?